Well, what's up, guys? Welcome back to episode number 10 of Truly Me. I hope you guys are enjoying content so far. Today, I have a special guest. I have my friend Kayla Jones here. She is an influencer and model. Make sure you guys check her out on Instagram. She is going to be telling us her story, which is super crazy. She went through a lot of crazy shit, and she's just going to kind of explain what she went through, what she experienced, and I'm excited to jump into this. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Florida. I grew up in the Bahamas the majority of my life, so I'm definitely like an island girl. So moving here to LA because of modeling has definitely been a big change for me. So I don't know. It's been a crazy ride, and like,
How did you get into modeling?
I honestly, it's so weird because I don't remember. Like,
Really?
I have no idea how I even got into it. All I know is there came a time in my life when I was super insecure about, like, my freckles and stuff on my face or on my body. Like, elementary school even, I was going to school with, like, long sleeve shirts on to hide, like, the freckles on my arms and stuff like that. So I was super insecure, and I wanted to literally bleach the freckles off of my
Stop.
face. I wanted to because I was getting bullied for it. I mean, not terribly, but like, you know, I was super insecure about it. And my mom was like, no, like, you're not doing that, obviously. Thank God she made me stop, because now that's like a really big part of my modeling career.
Like, that's what, like, probably people look for, right?
Yeah, exactly, because it's so different.
What's crazy is I feel like nowadays people, like, agents and stuff, look for, like, that different, you know, like something different about someone. So that's like your thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just remember my mom watching me. I think I was just taking so many Snapchats on my phone, or like Instagram selfies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, why don't you just try modeling? Like, let's just see how it goes. So basically I had no pictures, and for me to send them into agencies, I had to pay somebody to take my pictures, like, professionally. So I did 2 like shoots that I paid for completely, and then submitted them into agencies. And then after that is when stuff kind of went down at my school.
So Kayla was in high school during the shooting, the Stoneman Douglas massacre shooting.
Yeah.
And she was there, and she's going to talk about it. She's going to talk about her experience, how it affected you after or during, I guess, because I'm assuming that's like, I would just have like the worst anxiety probably from that.
Yeah.
What is it? Like PTSD. Yeah. Like, that's some heavy shit. So Kayla is going to talk to us about that day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So take us to that day.
All
Probably
right.
the scariest fucking day of your life, honestly.
Yeah, no, definitely scariest day of my life.
So you went to school, was it like normal day, like?
Yeah, it was February 14th, so Valentine's Day. My ex-boyfriend at the time was in college, so my best friend Ashley we had this whole day planned out. Galentine's Day, she's picking me up. We're gonna go to
Galentine's
the movies.
Day?
Yeah,
What's
like
that mean?
girls, like Valentine's Day.
Shit, I never did that.
So yeah, like, we were just gonna buy each other like flowers and just like have like a girls' day, since like my boyfriend at the time was in college and not being able to be there. Yeah, so I was super excited. Got to school, parked. I was walking with my group of girlfriends, and it was such a normal day.
Yeah.
Like, you would never expect it. And honestly, like, it was weird because I switched 3 different high schools. I wasn't at Douglas for 4 years. I had only been going to Douglas for about a year and a half.
Really?
So I went to my freshman year, I went to one high school. Sophomore, half of junior, I went to another one. And then half of junior, rest of senior, I went to Douglas.
It's crazy. I wonder if you were, like, supposed to be there.
Right?
Like,
I
feel like everything happens for a reason.
Oh, yeah. I'm a very, very, very big firm believer.
That's crazy that, like, you were supposed to be there.
Yeah, it was insane.
Wild.
So, like, I didn't know many people at the school, and it was a humongous school, and all those kids are really connected towards each other. Like, everybody knew everybody, and I was, like, the new girl. And so I had been going there half a junior year, and then up until February 14th of my senior year. And Yeah, it was the last period of the day. So we had block scheduling, so it was like fourth period, which was an hour and a half long. It was my math class, and I hated math. Oh my God,
no.
it was terrible.
I'm ditching that
And
class.
so basically, we'd
So
have
you went through
like,
your whole day of school and just in nothing? It was just normal?
nothing.
Last
Totally
period
normal.
of the day?
Yeah. Last period of the day, super normal. Nothing was happening. It was like everybody wanted to just leave already. It was like we had 45 minutes of lecture, and the rest we were just either doing homework or going on our phone and doing whatever. So I would usually spend the last part of class like FaceTiming my boyfriend and stuff like that. And so I walked to the bathroom, did my thing with pee, whatever, walked back, and the fire alarm started going off, and I was like, what the heck? Like, that's like weird.
Drill or something?
Yeah. And so, but before, they were telling us like earlier in the week that they were going to do drills, like running through drills, like, oh, if there's a lockdown, if there's this, if there's that. So I was like, okay, well, whatever, that's cool. They're probably just running a drill. But it was weird because they did it at like the very end of our class. It was like 30 minutes until our school was completely over with. And so basically how it happened is like, it was a freshman building that the shooting happened in, and I was in the closest building to that building without being in the building. So, and I was that first classroom up the staircase. So it was like the freshman building, and then all around it was the senior parking lot, and I was a senior at the time, and I always parked my car right next to like the gate because I wanted to be the first one down the stairs and into the parking lot. So the alarm started going off, and my teacher was like, oh no, everybody just wait, it might be a false alarm, blah, blah. And we're like, no, Mr. Guard, like, let us out, come on, like, we just want to go home and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just see him like grabbing his backpack and stuff like that and getting ready to go, and we were like, yes, like, we're finally getting out. So I go walk down the stairs, and there's like, our security guard's like, no, you need to go that way, and is pointing towards like the whole opposite side of campus. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to get to my car. That's so weird, but whatever. So I started walking the other way, and then a whole ambush of kids are running, and they're like, there's a school shooter, like all this stuff. And I'm in my head like, what the heck? Like, what is happening? And I'm on the phone with my boyfriend, and I'm like, dude, like, they're saying that there's a school shooter right now. And he's like, no, it's probably nothing. Like, the chances of that happening is so... So
like,
slim,
it's just like
to
not what you would think would be going down.
Exactly, because it's just so not normalized, or, I mean, I guess it's sad to say, but now it's like such a big thing, and it happens so often. It's so scary. Dude. But yeah, so I started running back. We went into my classroom. We were back into my classroom, right? And somebody, I don't know who it was, whether it was the vice principal or whoever, but he comes on the intercom and was like, everybody evacuate, this isn't a drill. So then in my head, I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna go leave again. So I go walk out of the classroom again.
What did you think? Did you think it was a fire? Like when he was like, this is not a drill, what did you think?
I honestly, like, there were so many thoughts running through my head.
Were you scared, or were you like...
I was more like...
confused?
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, what is happening? Like, I need to know what's happening right now. Like, I'm not scared, but I'm just like anxious. I was like, what is happening? What's going on? I'm confused. Like, I don't know what's going to happen next. So I ran back down the hall, and the security guard was like, what are you guys doing? You guys need to go back into your class. Because it was like me and I want to say like 12 other classmates that were locked out of the classroom. So we run back, and I'm banging on the door. I'm like, Mr. Guard, let us in, let us in. And in my head, the last thing I see him doing was packing up his bags to get out of the class early. So I'm like, okay, well, he probably left. So I'm banging on the door, he's not answering. And then the security guard's like, what are you guys doing? Like,
was he in there?
Yes. He ended up being in there with kids from my class that were in there. I think it was only like 5 kids though, because some of us ran, some of us stayed, some of us like went into another classroom. And so we were all standing outside, because my classroom, when you open the door, you go to outside, right? The freshman building, there's only those 2 exits. Everything else is inside of like a building, you know, like a house. Like if you're going from room to room, that's how the building was. The building that I was in, it was like door, like going outside, you know?
Yeah.
So we told the security guard, listen, like, our teacher locked us out and we can't get back in. And he was like, okay, stand up against this wall. And
Did he know what was going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
He for sure knew what was going on. He didn't say anything, but, like, from the look on his face, he knew that there was something wrong. And so he told us all to stand up against the wall. And automatically I was like, I'm probably going to die. Like,
No
I'm
way.
probably going to die. I swore, I was like, this is it. Like, this is going to happen right now. And, like, I just started hearing gunshots run off underneath me, like, do, 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 do.
What
And
did he have? Like an automatic?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty
hell
sure
no.
it was just lighting things off. And I'm freaking out. I'm standing up against the wall, and I'm on the phone with my boyfriend still. And I was like, dude, it's, like, happening. Like, it's not a drill. Like, this is actually seriously happening right now. And so I was freaking out, and he's screaming on me at the phone, like, Kayla, answer me. And, you know, the first thing that you're taught in school is if there's a school shooter, you're supposed to be quiet. You're not supposed to talk because they don't know, like, if they're trying to go into classrooms and stuff like
Right.
that. And I was locked outside. I'm thinking they're going off underneath me. I had no idea that they were going off in the freshman building, because if I had, like...
You never had a thought, like, I'm about to book it to my car?
That was what I was thinking, but they stopped me from going down the stairs to my car. That's why they told us to go
I
the
feel like I
other
would
way.
have just, like, ran through somebody. Like, that is...
Honestly, I'm really happy that I didn't, because I don't know, like, God forbid I would have, and a bullet shot out through the glass
Yeah.
and shot me while I was going to my car or something.
True.
Because it was right in front of my car was right in front of the freshman building, like right next door, like right down those stairs, right across from the freshman building. That's where my car was, and that was where I parked every single day. And so I'm standing outside, and I had to hang up on my boyfriend. I had 5% on my phone, and now I have to think, okay, priorities. Who am I going to call first?
Yeah.
Who am I going to text? Who am I going to tell, like this is it, like whatever. So he's screaming at me, and I didn't want to hang up on him, but it was just so much was happening, and I couldn't keep my brain straight, and I was like, boop, 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 I gotta go. Like, I can't deal with you right now. Like, you're yelling at me. I'm in a terrible situation that I can't get out of. About 5 of my classmates ran. I stayed put because I was like, I don't know where the bullets are coming from. I can hear them going off underneath me, but I don't know. So I'm just going to stand here, and whatever happens, happens at that point.
Did it sound like they were far away?
No, it sounded like it was right underneath my feet. It sounded like, because I was on a 2-story building, and it literally sounded like it was right underneath my feet. I was freaking out. I was like, dude, this guy's going to run up the stairs, and I'm going to be done.
And at that point, you didn't know if it was just 1 or 2 or 3. You had no idea how many people there were shooting. I had no idea.
And in my head, it wasn't even like, oh my God, I know that there's a school shooter on campus. I'm like, there could be, but I also remember them telling me earlier in the week there's going to be cops setting off blanks. So in my head, I'm like, if they're doing this right now to us, like, I'm going to literally fight someone, because this is not cool. And so I was so confused. And then my classmates were just so obnoxious, and they were like, oh yeah, we're from the hood, we're used to this. And I was like, dude, that's really cool for you, but like, if you wanna like hurt yourself and like jeopardize everybody else's lives, like just go over there. Like, don't be around me when this is happening. Like, they're trying to fight and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, we're supposed to literally be quiet right now. Like, we're out in the open. There's gunshots literally going off, and you guys are trying to fight over who's bad, big bad. You know what I mean?
Oh my
God. I was like, at that point, I was angry. I was scared. I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. There was just so many factors happening, and everybody was taking it different. I was just sitting there, like, I was just standing up against the wall, like.
So how did you get out?
So it honestly took a really long time. The security guard ended up coming back like 5 minutes later and told us that a lady was going to let us into her classroom. And protocol is like, if there is a shooter on campus, you're not allowed to let anybody into your classroom. But the security guard realized that we were all kids that, like, the gunshots were going off when we were up there, you know?
Yeah, like,
so
it wasn't
we
you.
we weren't the people that were doing
Involved.
anything. Yeah. So we ended up going into like this little old lady's classroom, and she's holding a golf what are those things? Golf club. She's like ready to fight somebody, and I was like, oh my god, thank god I'm in this classroom. This girl's ready to put up a fight. So I'm sitting in the classroom, and luckily one of my classmates, his dad was the sheriff at the Coral Springs Police Department, and he was calling his son and saying, like, there is a shooter on campus. He's in the freshman building, and we're going to go find this guy. I'll keep you updated. And so at that time, we started hearing helicopters. We started getting notifications of just, we think this person died. We saw this person get shot.
So you're watching it on your phone.
I'm seeing everything on my phone. There's live newscasts. I can hear the helicopters. I'm looking at my Snapchat stories of people in the freshman building taking videos of just like the doors being shot down, like literally just shot down, and there's people that are getting pulled into classrooms that got their legs shot, and there's blood all over the floor, and like
how hectic.
It was honestly insane. And it was weird because I wasn't crying. I wasn't crying because I was so shocked that it was
your mom?
real. That's another thing. That's when I was like started crying. When I started getting sent those things, I realized I only had 5%, and it wasn't over yet. They didn't know where he was. They didn't know if he was still on campus. And so I had to text my mom, if I don't make it out of here alive, like, I love you. And like sending, like, I have chills right now.
I just got the fucking chills.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I literally
I'm like
just got
almost
the chills.
in tears right now because just like whenever I say that and talk about that exact moment right there, I remember what it felt like to be there. And it was so scary because I meant those words, you know? You never realize that you have to mean those words until a circumstance comes around and you have to send that text.
Yeah, and to be in a situation like that where you're alone and you can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're almost, like, hopeless. Like, it's like,
yeah,
if it happens, it happens, and I can't control what the fuck the outcome is right now.
Yeah, no.
Like, that is so heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's how it was. And it was like, that's why I didn't run. I was like, if I run, something can happen. If I stay put, something can happen. So honestly,
like
I'm just going to stay, and I'm going to hope for the best, and I'm going to sit in this classroom, and I'm going to send my text messages, send my, like, I love yous, and I'm going to just let God take it how it is.
So did he ever make it to your building, or did he just stay in the freshman building?
So my theory is he, basically how he ended up...
Also, wait, side, did you know him?
No.
You never saw him?
No, never knew who he was. He was a former Douglas student, but he got expelled from Douglas.
Oh, so he wasn't even he didn't enrolled at all?
No, he didn't even go to our school. I think he went to, like, it starts with a T, like Taravella or something like that. And so he wasn't even, like, enrolled into our school. And he Ubered to our school with a duffel bag with his gun disassembled, hopped the fence, goes into the staircase of the freshman building and assembles his gun in the first floor of the staircase.
I saw a clip. They played like a clip of that, and some kid was in there, and he was like, "You better run," or some shit like that.
Yeah, he literally saw it happen, and he literally was like, "You better run because stuff is like shit's gonna go down," basically. And if you think about it, by the time you get to your classroom and you're able to tell your teacher what you just saw, it's gonna be too late. This kid was ready. He was ready to do damage. He had fury in his heart like no other, like so much hatred. And
what's
it was just
crazy is they just released a video of him in jail, like beating shit out of a guard. Wasn't it a guard?
Yep, it was a security guard. It was a police officer, security guard of the jail, and yeah, he literally beat the shit out of him. Like, this kid has issues.
Yeah, clear, to say the least. So he never made it to your building. So how long? I'm sure they locked you guys down.
Oh yeah,
for probably hours.
We got out of school at 2:45, I believe. I didn't get to leave my classroom till, I want to say, 5:36. We were locked inside a dark ass classroom, and I only had like 10% on my phone, or like 5% on my phone. I sent that text message. I started getting texts from my whole family, and
I was gonna say your family was probably freaking the fuck out. And as you know, Ashley was supposed to be, we were supposed to be having Valentine's Day, so I'm texting Ashley like, listen, like, I love you, like if I get out of here, like, this is still happening, like, I need you to be with me. And so
that's like, it was insane. And so by the time we figured out that the shooter was captured and the police finally found him, he had a JROTC Douglas shirt on from when he was enrolled in our school.
So he played it like he was there.
He was dressed in something else when he shot up the school. When he was done, he took off his clothes. Underneath his one shirt or jacket or whatever he was wearing, it was his JROTC Douglas shirt, and ran with the kids outside of the freshman building.
You're lying.
Ran with them all. Like, I can only imagine the amount of people that were running next to him, not even knowing what
that he was the one that did it.
Yeah, exactly. And that frightens me. So he ended up walking. He walked to our local Walmart, went into the subway, got a drink, enjoyed his drink in the side of the subway of the Walmart, and then started walking through neighborhoods, and then that's when they found him. But he made sure to, like, enjoy it. It was...
What's crazy is that, like, they didn't catch him in the school. Like...
Yeah.
Don't they have cameras and, like, things where they could, like...
And that's, like, a big thing now, is, like, how there's not enough security, or, like, you know, because when you go to school, you don't have IDs. You're not checking bags.
You think that you're going to a safe place, right? Like, when as a parent, when you, like... I'm a mom. Like, if I were to send if I were to send my kid to school, you think you're sending them somewhere safe, right? Like, you think that they're in good hands.
Exactly.
So to have to go through protocol like that, like you're at a fucking airport or something.
Exactly.
It's like, what world do we live in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was super scary. So then the kid whose dad was in the police department, he ended up calling, was like, we got him. We're going to start going door by door, and you're going to hear us breaking down doors. So he was like, okay. And then he was like, we want you out first, because if anything happens, he wanted his son to be, like, the leader of the class. Like, you know, God forbid something happens to the first person that ran out.
For
sure. So he was like, okay. So time starts going by, and we hear it get closer, like, 1, 2, 3, boom. And they're kicking down doors. So
why,
now,
though?
I don't even know, because they didn't want anybody to open the door, I don't think. But he knew his kid was in our classroom, so he made his kid, he like screamed his name and was like, open the door, like whatever. So he opened the door, they came in and was like, everybody put your hands up. So we put our hands up. The only thing I grabbed out of my bag was my phone and my ID. So I grabbed my phone and my ID, my phone's in my pocket, and he was like, you guys are going to put your hands on the person in front of you, on their shoulders, so you're like that.
Yeah.
And you are going to walk down the stairs. Immediately as you get down the stairs, run as fast as you can across the street. And so in my head...
Imagine.
I have no... Like, I didn't even realize that he was captured at this point. Like, they were saying it on the news and stuff like that, but...
So you're running thinking, like, holy shit, I might get a bullet?
Yeah, I'm terrified.
God.
I'm terrified. And so we're walking, and it literally felt like I was in prison. It felt like I had just seen daylight for, like, in years. That's what it felt like. And we're all, like, walking, like, prisoners. And then we just bolted. And as soon as I got to the other side of the street, I started crying. Because that's when I knew, like, I'm fine. Like, I made it out of there. And so I was just... It was so surreal to me, and I was like, I looked at the cop and I was like, can I grab my phone out of my pocket? Like, I don't want you to think I have a gun, like, in my pocket, you know? He was like, no, you're fine, like, grab your phone. So I grabbed my phone, and I see my math teacher, who was in the freshman building, sitting on the floor crying. I immediately run up to her, and I give her the biggest hug I could have given her in my life, because she was my math teacher, and she was my, like, free period teacher. I don't even remember what the class was called.
What is that class called? I haven't been in high school like 10 years, so I don't know.
It's been 2 years for me, and I still don't even know. But yeah, so she was my teacher for 2 years, and I ran up and I hugged her, and I was like, are you okay? Like, did you see anything? She was like, I watched a girl get shot in the leg, and I had to pull her and drag her leg into my classroom while she was bleeding out on my floor. And immediately I'm like, holy shit. Like, I thought it was bad for me. Like, I can only imagine the amount of kids in the freshman building that saw things, had to step over dead bodies.
Yeah, imagine, like, being a freshman. You're young. You're like, what, 14, 15?
Yeah, 14, 15.
Like, you're so little, and you're by yourself
Yeah.
and you're fucking getting shot at.
But the crazy thing is the freshman building was majority freshmen, but they had other classes in there. So it was like freshman classes, but then there was like high English classes, like honor roll, or what are they called? AP classes. So they were holding AP classes, and so basically after I ran to the side of the road, I met up with my girlfriend Sarah, and we had like a super tight group of girls, and that's who I was with earlier in the day. We'd have lunch together every day, and like it was super good. And it was me, Sarah, Nikki, and Meadow. And so I met up with Sarah. I was like, dude, I have barely any battery on my phone. Like, is your mom coming to pick you up? Like, because my friend Ashley, like, it's gonna take her a while to get down here. And she was like, yeah, you can just come with us. Because at the time they were taking kids who didn't have a ride home or anywhere to the closest hotel where they were interviewing every single kid. And at that time I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not talking about this right now. Like,
yeah.
I need to just realize what just happened to me. And so she was like, yeah, just come with me. And so I finally charged my phone, and I get in the car. I'm like talking to my mom and stuff like that. And I get a text from my stepbrother. He's not like my biological stepbrother, but he's somebody that I think of as my stepbrother. And he was like, hey, have you heard from Meadow recently? And I was like, no, why? Like, what's up? And he was like, oh, because her brother, her cousin is texting me, and they can't find her, and she was at the school. And I was like, no, like, I'll text her right now. And we had some, you know, like, little drama, like a little bit of beef in high school with like our friend group after our junior year. And me and Meadow we were cool. Like, we just weren't as talkative, whereas my junior year, she was my best friend.
Yeah.
My best friend. She was the first girl I ever got along with at that school. She was the person who showed me everywhere. She would tell me about her boyfriend and like the things that she was going to. Like, I just remember her crying on my shoulder at lunch about things. And so
you guys were
I
just
was
tight.
like, holy shit, yeah. And so I'm like freaking out, and I'm like, there's no way. Meadow never went to school. She never went to school. She'd always leave early during lunch and whatever. So not to mention she lived in my neighborhood. So I was like, okay, yeah, like, let me text her. So I go and I send her a text, and I'm like, hey, like, I know shit's kind of crazy right now, but like, please let me know you're okay. Like, I love you. And I never got a text back.
So
And
she was
so,
what?
Yeah, the last place her phone was pinging was inside of the freshman building. And we thought for so long, we were like, she dropped her phone and she just ran as far as she could, you know? We were like, there's no way that she died. Like, there's no way, like, that's just not like a Meadow thing, you know? Like, she would never, like, she never went to school. She would never let something like that happen. And it just shows you, like, life just doesn't discriminate. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. And so it was really hard for me, and I didn't realize, we didn't find out that she had passed away until, I want to say, 5 days after the shooting happened.
What?
And we lived super, super close to the school. And so when Ashley picked me up finally from like a grocery store when Sarah dropped me off, we went back to my house. So my house was literally across the street from my school. So every single night, helicopters, like 4 helicopters at a time, just circulating through. And so I'm like, I can barely even sleep at night because just the noise. And like every time I'd wake up in the middle of the night, I'd start crying. Wake up in the middle of the night, start crying, post on Facebook, hey, kid, have you guys seen Meadow? Like, please contact me or her family. Like, please let us know. Like, we're really worried.
So did they not find her body in there?
They did, but there was so much blood, and from what I've heard, supposedly she got shot in the face, and that's why it took them so long, because they had to do fingerprints to identify her, and that's why it took so long. But through things, it was hard because, you know, people start rumors, and so I was getting told, oh, Meadow's in ICU, Meadow's here, Meadow's in this hospital, Meadow's with this friend, and I'm like, dude, if you know this, like, tell her family. And I was like, have you told anybody? And they would be like, no, like, it's her best friend. Like, why would they lie? And I was just like, if you know something and she's still alive and, like, she's in ICU or she's at this hospital, you need to let us know right now. Like,
Yeah,
you can't
say
be
something.
spreading these rumors about it and then us going crazy. And, like, it ended up being all of those were rumors, you know? And so I would get my hopes up and be like, oh, my God, maybe she's going to survive this. And, like, she's in the hospital and, like, all this stuff. And then, like, in reality, it was just, like, it happened in the building. Like,
That
they're
is so
done.
crazy.
And it, from a story that I was told, is she was trying to save another girl's life. And she, like, ran back up the stairs and tried to, like, shield her with, like, Meadow tried to shield her with her body. And, like, the shooter just saw that as a target, I guess. And I mean, like, I don't know if that's completely true.
Yeah, like you'll
'Cause
never know.
you'll never know. But
that's a good way to go out.
yeah,
That's
honestly,
a good legacy to leave behind.
Yeah. And it's just, it's crazy because I go back and I think about, like, the most recent times I was, like, talking to her, or the most recent, like, another one of my friend group's really close friends, Joaquin, he passed away too, and he was best friends with Meadow too. And I remember getting introduced to him that year. I was like, hey, like, it's so nice to meet you. Like, I was like, oh yeah, he seems like a really cool guy. Him and his girlfriend were the cutest things ever. Like, he loved her so much. And she...
Did he die in the shooting?
Yeah.
Oh, he did too.
Supposedly, he saw Meadow run back up the stairs to go help a girl. And Joaquin, like, saw her do that. So supposedly he ran back up the stairs. I mean, I don't know if that's completely true, and I'm not going to talk about things that aren't true. But, like, it seems like something that those people would do. Like, they're just so kind and, like, about other people, and they're not selfish. So when something like that happens, you know, I mean, it's just, I could believe it.
It's definitely, like, a situation that most people will not experience. Yeah. You know what I mean? In a lifetime. Like, how many people have an experience like that? It's just like the Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah.
Like, those things are, and that's something that you're going to tell your kids. That's a story that, you know what I mean, that you're going to carry with you forever. So, okay, so how did it affect you at, like, now? Like, is it still something that you...
So, I guess...
Because it's been how many years?
2 years.
2 years
since
it's
2 years
happened.
now. And, you know, the first year, I didn't realize how depressed and how badly it affected me mentally.
Yeah.
It was actually insane. And I didn't realize that till this, like, past year, like, reading back on, like, because I would journal. And so I would write in the journal every single day and just looking back to what I wrote a year ago and then versus 2 years ago. It was just, like...
You probably realized, like...
I grew so much mentally. Like, I'm in such a better place than I was for that whole year. And I should have gone to therapy. I know I should have gone to therapy, but I didn't. And, yeah, it definitely changed my views on a lot of things. I'm a lot more open-minded. I'm a lot more
Are you more like, do you appreciate life more now?
Oh, 100%. No doubt about it. Yeah. 100% enjoy it. And, you know, it gets to, at first when we had a month off of school, I want to say a month or maybe 2. I think it was a month. But we had a month off of school, and during that month, you know, that's when I started to get into my modeling career. But also, when we went back to school, they had service dogs. Our curriculum was vanished. We had no curriculum for the rest of the year. It was just, you know...
I can't even imagine going back and it being any way normal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're walking through halls where people just got killed.
Yeah, well, luckily, they closed off that whole building. Nobody was allowed in that building. I mean, to this day, you're still not allowed into the building.
Really?
Yeah. And so, they had a bunch of service dogs and, like, a service pig, which was pretty cool.
And was that to, like, help you guys with your anxiety or something?
Yeah, it was just, like, because, you know, when dogs are around you, just, like, you pet them, you don't really think about things, like, you're hugging on them. So it was just, like, a nice comfort thing.
Yeah.
And so at lunch, they'd be strolling around, and you could pet them, or, like, during class, you could say that you want to go. And then they had therapists upstairs in the library. And now I remember this very, very vividly because it was such a traumatizing moment in my life. There was a school walkout that was happening. So it was like a protest against like violence, like because of my school shooting that had just happened. So there was a bunch of protests and school walkouts, and basically like everybody leaves their class and walks out into the football field, and that was like our protest or whatever. And at this point, I was like first of all, I was so scared to be back at school. I was scared to be walking down the halls and just seeing people. I mean, when I had to go back to school to pick up my purse from the classroom, I was like terrified. I was like crying my eyeballs out because I had to look at like people's faces with their parents and just crying and like looking at the building, and like you felt it. Like you felt that, like,
for sure. It probably all comes back.
Yeah, and it was
like
intense.
tenfolds.
Yeah, so when the school walkout was happening, I did not want to be there. I was like, this is too big of a crowd. This is about my school that it's happening now. Who knows? What if somebody's like pro gun laws and they go crazy? And now it's like...
And now you're in a big group.
And now I'm in a big group. And what if like they get so mad that something happens?
I'm actually shook they let you guys go back to school that soon.
That was a very big thing for us too. We were... I just remember our whole entire school was pissed off about it. The students were pissed off.
I feel like I would have not have gone.
No. And I tried really hard to switch on to online, but my mom made a very good point about online school. We're going to have to be doing work, whereas if I just play it out and I go to school, I won't have to do any work. And that was crucial for me because I'm pretty sure I would have failed my math class.
So then you got into your modeling career.
Yeah, I got into my modeling career, and that honestly was like a very big light for me. That was like
an escape for you.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, I was hustling after those 2 paid shoots that I did. I started to message photographers that I would see in Florida, just local photographers. I didn't care if they had a big following or a small following. I was all about, the hustle.
Exposure.
I wanted to work as much as I can. I was DMing so many photographers, as many as photographers I could find off of everybody else's profiles. And I was like, hey, I would love to shoot with you. Hey, I'd love to shoot with you. And I guess they saw like a potential in my test shoots, the 2 paid shoots that I did, because I was posting those. And, the more people I started to shoot with and started to post, the more photographers wanted to work with me. So I was shooting every single weekend, and like the majority of the week I was shooting too, and I was like shooting for that whole entire month that I had off of school. I was shooting. So I definitely think that plays like a huge role in where I am today, because if I didn't have that drive and I didn't have that focus, and I wouldn't be where I am. Yeah,
so Kayla moved to LA from Florida.
Yes.
When, last year? This year?
No, this year.
19?
19.
Like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something?
Yeah, I moved December 1st. That's
okay,
when I moved to
so
LA.
like 6 months ago, she moved to LA to continue her modeling career here, and then you're going back to Florida.
Yeah, so basically after I started test shooting a bunch, I ended up getting scouted by a mother agency. Shout out to Dollhouse, I love you, Sparkle. And yeah, she's amazing. She's always had a lot of hope in me. And so she really pushed me to get where I am today too, And that's what I really love about this industry is like you're around so many creative people and like that have that same drive as you, that it's so beneficial in the long run. And she got me signed to Select. It used to be called MP Modeling Agency, but now it's Select and it's global. And I signed to LA while I was still living in Florida, which was a little odd for me. And then I want to say 5 months later, I signed to Select Miami. And yeah, that's honestly like that. Yeah, it's honestly just the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. And you're so young. What, 20? 19. Yeah. So you have you have so much potential, and then you're just so young. So I'm proud of you. Good job. So Kayla is going back. Are you staying? No, you're going to move back here, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to get her to move to Orange County.
Heck yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see. But yeah, your story's so crazy. And I didn't even know that about you, which is crazy.
That's another thing. And this is like this.
And you know what? I think that's dope that you don't use that as like a way.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Like it's just part of your journey, but you don't really like talk about it.
Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say. This is my first time like actually coming out and like talking about this stuff, because it's just been
Publicly.
Publicly. Like only my really close friends and family know about it, because it's something that I personally had to deal with for so long, and like mentally exhausting, but it's come to a point where I'm so comfortable and happy where I am now that I feel like this is my way to show you that, like, I mean, I've gotten so far in life from such a traumatic moment, and I just want people to realize to always be positive in situations, and like everybody goes through something. Like my life may seem perfect on social media. It may seem like I'm always going to the Bahamas, when in reality my mom works in the Bahamas, so I go there to visit her. It may seem like, oh, I'm always traveling to LA to have a good time and party, when I'm working, or you know what I mean? So it's more of like,
what? Yeah, okay, that's crazy you say that. We talked about this in a couple of podcasts ago. But like, you could have a crazy experience in life, like everybody does, right?
Yeah,
yours is more extreme than mine or whatever, but like it's all about how you handle that situation. Are you going to let it change you, or are you going to change, you know what I mean? Like you can conform to whatever happens to you, or you can take from it and do better, and that's what you did. And that's super powerful, because a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people will take a situation like that and let it break them, versus taking a situation like that and fucking, you know, doing great things with it.
Yeah, and it sucks because I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying like I've seen it firsthand with my school, but like even like family. I've seen my family go through some stuff, and like it's gotten so hard to a point where they don't have that motivation to keep going, you know? And like I just want my message to more be like, you know, I've gone through something so terrible and turned it into something so great, and like everybody goes through something, and just because people don't share it on social media doesn't mean they're not going through something
like that
traumatic.
You brought up the social media thing, like how people portray on social media to live like this perfect life. Most people that I know that are Insta famous or have clout or like whatever are so miserable, or put on, like, if you think about it, people aren't going to put out when they're going through something hard. They're not going to tell the world that they're going through some shit. You know, they're going to post what the best stuff that's going on in their life. Yeah. Pictures when they look the best, or content when they're out partying with their friends having a good time. No one's going to post when their mom dies, or like, I mean, I'm sure people do, but that's not what like people are showing. And then another thing I feel like is you have 500,000 followers on Insta. Yeah. And I feel like when people, like, do you feel like people treat you differently because you have clout, or like?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I get DMs saying, do you think it's easier? Do you think life is easier for you because you are pretty, or your looks, because does that make life easier? And I feel like it's
the total opposite.
I honestly believe it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Or I think it's equal. I don't think it matters. I think people now, because you're saying like, oh, do you get this because you're pretty? That's like what we deal with. We deal with like, other people deal with like, oh, you don't have clout, but then we deal with like, oh, you have clout, so you're this, or you're mean, or you do this, you know? And that's not what it's about. And like people, I think people bully on social media because it's such an easy platform to do it, because they think just because they have clout, they're not going to see it. But I promise you, we see everything. We read those comments, we read the DMs, we see everything, you know? Sure. And it's hard because that's like what we have to deal with, you know? We have to deal with that constant hate from people, or like just bashing on people, and it sucks.
All this to say, like, I feel like your story is so like powerful, and then also like we don't have to be mean to each other. Like, I feel like we all go through things, and just because someone's doing better than better than you or whatever, like, I don't know, I'm just trying to live in a world where there's like less hate, more positivity. Sharing stories like this is super cool to me, because I think people are so interested in this kind of stuff, and so to be able to express that to an audience of different people is rad, because you can touch so many different people, and especially someone that who's a model, who's pretty, who has clout. Girls that don't have that are gonna like connect to you.
Oh yeah,
on a different level now.
Yeah, and I actually, so that was one of the things that I wanted to improve on myself this year, was being more open with people. And so basically on January 1st, on New Year's, I created a post about, because not my boyfriend that I had when I was in high school, but my boyfriend once I got out of high school was super toxic, cheated on me all 7 months, you know, and like I expressed to him everything that I went through, between like not having a dad growing up, and then the school shooting, and then like all that stuff happening, to realize that the guy that I trusted and that I spilled everything out to had cheated on me for 7 months and was manipulative, telling me I was jealous and all this stuff, when I would literally send him girls to shoot with, and he told me I was a jealous person. I would send him girls to shoot with on Instagram, and he literally had sex with every single one of those girls. And so now I'm like, okay, so I just told you and expressed to you everything. Like he got me in such a vulnerable state, because it was when I had just recently had left the school shooting. He was just so toxic, and I didn't really tell anybody about that. Me and his relationship obviously was not public. Yeah. So I created a post on Instagram on New Year's about that, and I was like, I just opened up and I was like, if everybody's going through something, you know, like I literally wrote down the tips that got me through what I was going through. Yeah. And I posted it as like, you know, it was a picture of me on New Year's and then my notes. And I think it was like 5 slides. And the amount of feedback that I got from people, because my DMs are always open for people that are going through anything. Like nobody's alone, and I would never want to be alone in a situation like that. And it's really hard to talk to people that you know, because they might view you different, and that's something that you could be scared of. But like, I promise you, like, I'm sure for you too, there's no judging here between us. Like, you can come, you guys can come to us for anything. So it was like, the feedback that I was getting from that post was super crazy, and that makes me happy that I'm doing this now too, because I'm starting to become really open with like my life and like my experiences and the things that I go through, because I don't want to portray a perfect life.
Well, and I was gonna say, and for people that if you like go on Kayla's page, you're gonna be like, oh, she has clout, oh, she's pretty, oh, she's a model, like, and I think that's like the first thing people see probably, right? They don't see like you and what you went through or your story. Yeah. Like, we as humans aren't just pictures. We're not just social media. Like, it's deeper than all of that. And so when people just see the shallowness of Instagram, and then you start to express the deepness of you, people respect that so much. They connect with that. So I think it's dope that you're doing this. Also, to fall into, we are going to be doing a mental health podcast. We're going to talk about mental health. I think mental health is huge. Everybody experiences some sort of mental health, whether that's anxiety, depression. It could be so many different things. So I think telling those stories helps people, because I feel like a lot of people think everybody's so perfect. No one's perfect. Everybody is battling something deeper than what we see on Instagram, what we see on social media. And I think to be like a light in the world is really cool. So thank you, Kayla, for being here. I love you. Make sure you guys follow Kayla on Instagram. We will leave her stuff in the description. We will leave her tags in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and we will be back next week. I love you guys.